Today is Saturday, July 26th. As we enter the last week in July, we hope today's episode helps parents take advantage of the final stretch of summer. Because let's face it, summer comes with all kinds of pressure. To make magical memories, to prevent the summer slide, to work, to play, to be present all at once. Today, we're talking about what really matters with Lizzie Asa, a parenting strategist and founder of the Workspace for Children. Her upcoming book is called But I'm Bored, and she's built a popular community on Substack helping parents of young kids create calm, connection, and independent play without losing themselves in the process. From creating ice cream truck confidence to how to use screen time to setting up your vacation to actually get a break. She's here with practical tips, gentle reminders, and a few myth-busting truths to help you feel a little more grounded and get your kids ready for school in a way you might not have considered. Welcome to the Newsworthy Special Edition Saturday, when we sit down with a different expert or celebrity every Saturday to talk about something in the news. Don't forget to tune in every Monday through Friday for our regular episodes, when we provide all the day's news in just 10 minutes. It's fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. It's time for today's Special Edition Saturday. You ready? Let's do this. Lizzie Asa, thank you so much for joining us here on the Newsworthy.
Glad to be here.
So as we're halfway through summer now, I was thinking about that there can be pressure from all sides, as there are with a lot of things with parenting, but especially for summertime for kids. You know, on one hand, there's this online trend we've seen about a 90s summer where kids roam free. On the other hand, there's the so-called summer slide where kids can fall behind academically. So how do you like to think about it?
I love to reframe the summer slide for parents, and I just like to pose this question for the families that I work with. What if our kids aren't falling behind and they're really just having summer as an opportunity to learn differently? Because real growth doesn't only happen in the classroom. It happens when they're wrestling open a cheese stick or when they're compromising and solving a sandcastle problem with a friend.
Right. You kind of talk about life skills and building confidence. I know you give another example in some of your writing about like ordering your own ice cream for some kids. Can you talk about that and other practical ways that might play out on a summer day?
Oh, yes, of course. I mean, the amount of money I've spent as a parent at the ice cream truck could probably fund my kids' 529 plan. But I will also say that it has given them so many chances to grow their capability and confidence and resiliency just through real life experiences. So when a child goes up to the ice cream truck, they are learning to wait their turn, to order clearly, to count change, to be flexible and make a second choice when their first choice isn't available. And, you know, I'm a former teacher myself. I have many friends who are early childhood and kindergarten teachers. And I will tell you, those teachers, they want your child to be able to be flexible, to speak up for themselves, to say what they want. Those skills are perhaps more important than them being able to come in knowing how to read.
And yet, to be clear, the first time you encourage it, they might not be willing.
Absolutely not. And that's why with summer, you know, something like the ice cream truck or even ordering at the ice cream stand or whatever it is that's consistent in your routine with your kids, they will have so many opportunities to practice, to make a mistake. You can be right there with them, supporting them, but not doing it for them. It gives them so many times to reach the same setting and readjust themselves.
What about this idea that you have to create the perfect 90s summer, that you have to let them roam free and be completely independent? And a lot of parents will say, but I work. So can you speak to that and kind of letting go of that perfection?
Last summer, I think the trend was we only have 18 summers with our kids. And this summer, it's the 90s summer trend. And I just think that these trends can be really damaging and stressful for parents. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to make every moment count. It's not realistic. And honestly, it's the thief of joy. Because when parents try to go all in on creating a magical, unstructured 90s summer, their kids are going to fight and whine anyway because they're kids. And then as a parent, we become resentful and it's lose-lose for everyone. And so I really advise parents to just create space for a few playful, present, unstructured moments, but not all the moments. You don't have to do all the things. Just pick one or two things.
And are there certain materials or ways that you like to create spaces to really help facilitate that? You know, whether you're a stay-at-home parent or a working parent.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're a stay-at-home parent or a working parent, I always recommend that people really use their home environment as another set of hands. And so anytime that you can create opportunities for play and independence from your kids without you having to be there in that moment, it's a go ahead. So that even means just like a stool in the kitchen and a cup next to the faucet so that when your child is thirsty, they can climb up on the stool and get themselves a drink. Or instead of keeping your magnetic tiles in the playroom, which is, maybe downstairs in your basement or across the house, drag the bin into the kitchen where you're already there cooking or doing what you're doing, because kids want to be where we are. And when they can see us, they're much more likely to play and work independently.
That's a great point. Like, independent play doesn't mean they're in the room by themselves.
No, it doesn't.
When I think about independent play, as well as things like kids complaining that they're bored, I think that it all sounds good to let them, struggle with the discomfort and have this great independent play. But in reality, it can be hard for a lot of parents when their kid is whining or struggling or saying, play with me. So what's your advice for the kind of in the moment when it's hard?
Sure. It really, really is hard. And it's even hard for me as a parent. And I am someone who is so rooted and studied in the importance of boredom. So I truly understand why parents have that gut reaction when their kids whine or say they're bored. And so I recommend that parents, first things first, step back, regulate themselves, take that breath and remind yourself, like, it is okay for them to whine. It is okay for them to be bored. It's not my job to fix it, but it is my job to hold it. And what I mean by that is usually when kids are coming to us with boredom, they're looking for connection. They're not looking for logic. They want you to say, you're bored? I hear you. It's really hard to be bored. They don't want you to say, but I just bought you all those toys and you have a full playroom and XYZ, which is, tricky not to do.
Is there a world where some families might need more routine and structure?
Yes. So many of us need these extracurricular activities for childcare or because our child does crave a more structured existence. And that's wonderful. The idea is really leaning into how is my child presenting? What is their behavior like? Is this working for our entire family? Because the family vibe is the most important thing. How you feel as a family, and then work from there.
Can you speak to just the importance of connection, especially over the summer?
Yeah. I think a lot of times parents want to create this summer magic, but really we just need to protect our connection with our kids. And so I think the best thing you can do to have a magical summer is to not yell at your kid in the car on the way to camp or to read that extra story sitting on the porch at bedtime. It doesn't mean that you have to be taking them to Six Flags Great Adventure and this festival and this camp, and all these things. It just means having consistent moments of connection and joy that are small.
Still ahead, we talk about screens and routines and what all kids, even teenagers, probably need this summer. Plus, how to have a vacation where even the parents can relax a bit. But first, a break for our sponsors. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. While we may have enjoyed summer off from school as kids, us adults don't usually get the same type of break from work. And yet, I'd say we can still take this time to focus on our wellness, because workplace stress is no joke. In fact, one report found 61% of the global workforce has higher than normal levels of stress. Even small steps can help, like sitting in the sun daily, making time to be social, and maybe even trying out therapy. Therapy can help you navigate whatever challenges the workday or really any day might bring. I've definitely benefited from therapy when it comes to being my best self at work, from figuring out what might be holding me back to how to become more productive in a way that I can still enjoy, to learning how to better manage my nerves ahead of one big event or meeting. And BetterHelp can be a great place to start. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/newsworthy. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/newsworthy. The Newsworthy is also brought to you by Trade Coffee. Between summer activities, work, and time away on vacation, my routine can be a little all over the place. But anytime I'm home, my cold brew ritual is something I never skip. Thanks to Trade. Their cold brew beans are smooth and easy to prep. I can brew ahead for the week or fill my tumbler to take on the go. And yes, I can just skip deliveries for when I'm away. But you better believe I'm excited to return to that great cold brew coffee as soon as I get home. Thanks to Trade, it's easier, costs less, and dare I say, even tastes better than buying cold brew at a coffee shop or using a concentrate. And it's so easy. Even my 4-year-old actually had fun helping me make our latest batch. And while he can't drink it himself for obvious reasons, he wanted to know how it tasted, and it was an immediate 2 thumbs up from me. For a limited time, Trade is giving 50% off a month of cold brew. That's around 60 cups of cold brew for 50% off when you go to drinktrade.com/newsworthy. You've got to try it. Go to drinktrade.com/newsworthy to get 50% off 1 month of cold brew. drinktrade.com/newsworthy. Now back to my conversation with parenting strategist Lizzie Asa. We know through research that kids lost a lot of academic progress during COVID. And, I wonder, just falling behind academically for some kids, that might impact their confidence as well as their skills. So what's your take on incorporating academics over the summer and whether it's necessary at all?
So I think it's really going to be about following your child's lead. I'm always going to say read, sing, play, move your body, because those are all things that are at the root of learning. Some kids, they love a math workbook. And if your kid loves a math workbook, and that truly comes from them, and they want to play school and they want to pretend with their siblings and do the math workbook, that is fantastic. But if you have a kid who, really struggles in math and it's really hard for them to fit that mold during the school year, then I would try to do things like, instead of forcing them to do the math workbook, I would say, hey, listen, we're going into the coffee store and this is how much it's going to cost. And here's the exact change. And I'm going to come with you and let's count it out together. And just using real life examples or where you're going to be using math and practicing those facts, but ones that fit into your day to day.
What's your take on screen time over the summer?
I am not anti-screen time at all. I love using it as a tool. I think it's really helpful for parents when it can be predictable, and for kids when it can be predictable. I think 3 rules that we always lived by and that I work with my clients to implement is, number 1, we keep iPads, remotes, all of those things. When they're not in use, they're put away in a cabinet up high, because that alone just takes away from you sit down and you grab the remote and you turn on the TV and then it's a power struggle, right? But if that's not there, you're removing that issue using your environment. The other thing is, being predictable, saying to your kids, every day at whatever time it works for you best as a family. Every morning when you're having milk and mom is getting ready for the day, you get to watch your shows. And when it's time for breakfast, the shows go off. And that's unconditional. You don't take that away because they misbehaved at bath the night before. So having screens be predictable is another one that's really helpful. But I think screens can be a great parenting tool, and I think we can remove the guilt around that. We want screens to be an intentional choice and not an automatic fallback. We want play to be the default behavior.
You mentioned routines and kind of like making that predictable for screens. Are there any other predictable moments of connection or routines that work really well for a lot of kids in the summer?
What works really well is having a loose routine, not a rigid schedule, but a loose routine. So if you're home with your kids and they're not in camp, I would say, every morning, we wake up and they play. And so for me, I would set something out the night before, something really simple, even if it's just a few blocks in the playroom, just getting started, or pulling the dollhouse into the kitchen. But getting in that rhythm of when you wake up, you start to play. Then we have breakfast. Then maybe we get dressed and we run an errand. Then we come home and we have quiet time. And then in the afternoon, we go to the playground. Whatever it is, but kind of keeping that loose routine. And you can really encourage them and remind them with, hey, listen, I remember yesterday you were building that block building and we ran out of time. Are you going to work on that again today? Or do you want to try something new today? Just sort of sparking, bringing them back to what they were working on the day before.
And I imagine that's a little less thinking for the parent as well when you have a little bit of a structure that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every day, as you've said before.
Yes, you absolutely don't have to reinvent the wheel. And the other thing that I think is so important that a lot of parents miss is that when you can repeat the same places, the same beach every day, or the same playground every day, your kids don't need to learn the lay of the land each time you go, and neither do you. And so that leads to so much more independence. So for example, when my kids were small, we went to the same little 1-acre beach every single day. And people would say to me, but don't they get bored? Don't you want to take them somewhere else? And I would say no, because when we go to the same place every day, they learn. I learn when I don't see them, I know which rock they're probably playing behind. So I'm calmer as a parent because I'm not in fight or flight mode, like worried all the time. They learn the routine. We arrive at the beach. We don't run off. We sit down. We wait to get, our stuff laid out. We tell mom we're going in the water, whatever it is. But when you're in the same place every day, you learn the routine and so do your kids, and it makes life easier for everyone, and it lends them so much more independence and growth.
Does the answer to the question, what do kids really need over the summer, change as they get older? What do young kids need versus preteens versus teenagers?
Of course, like the tangible things will change what they need, right? But at the bottom line, like the foundational lessons won't. What they really need is to play, to move their body, to get outside, and to rest. And I think whether your child is 16 or 1, those foundational things are still going to be there, and as adults as well.
Can you speak to the importance of play?
Play is how children learn. It's how they process their world. We might come home from a big life event and sit down and talk all about it with our partner, right? Kids are going to come home and play about it. If you want to learn about your kid's day at school or camp and they're little and they're not answering your questions, watch them play, observe them play, and you will learn so much more about what they experience. It's how they process their world. And so when we take away the opportunities for them to play, we're taking away the opportunity for them to process and grow.
I do want to touch on vacations. I know some families may still have big trips planned this summer, and that you've written about how the entire family, parents included, can actually enjoy a vacation with kids. So what are a few of your top tips when it comes to summer vacations?
My top tips are really to front load. Do as much as you can ahead, both emotionally, mentally, and physically, so that when you arrive, you can all sort of relax. So what I mean by that is, one tip, especially for toddlers, preschoolers, and early grade schoolers, is to forecast for them what the vacation is going to be like. Kids don't have a frame of reference the way we do when we say, oh, we're going to Nantucket and we're staying at this hotel. They don't know what that means, right? So we want to show them, use your computer, show them your accommodations, ask them what they think it will be like, tell them where you're going to eat breakfast. All those little routine things that we as adults take for granted, they don't know. They don't have that experience. And so that leads to a little bit of anxiety, which will show in their behavior. So when you can make things more predictable for them, even by showing them, like, first we're going to go, here's a book about airplanes, and let's go through it and think about us. When you're reading to them, ask them, what do you think this is going to be like in real life? That's going to bring down the temperature of the anxiety, the travel anxiety, so much. When you get to where you're going, set up a place for your kid to rest and play. And I really mean, even if that means like laying a towel on the ground of your hotel room and putting a few of their favorite toys, a water bottle, and a snack down, because it's so grounding and anchoring for them, and it makes their default play. It's instead of their default saying, Mom, I'm bored. Mom, what are we going to do next? Mom, I'm going to smack my sibling because I don't know what to do. It gives them something to do.
And I can attest to this. I know when we've done that, instead of having a meltdown, my little one will say, I need to go to this space when he is starting to feel overwhelmed. He's learned over time what he needs, whereas before he might have just melted down.
Yeah, and having your child know that at a young age is such a gift.
To kind of wrap up here, if there's one mindset shift you'd want every parent to make this summer, no matter how it's going so far, especially for those trying to, quote unquote, get it right, what would that be?
I think for parents and kids, it's just remembering that confidence isn't taught. It's built by doing something real with someone you trust nearby. So that means either for you as the adult, it's taking that trip and having your partner with you, as you muddle through what it's like to travel with kids, right? And for your kids, it's doing something real, like ordering at the ice cream truck or going to the neighbor's house to ask for a cup of sugar or riding your bike down that hill for the first time. It's things that give them agency and power, because that is where you see the real shift in behavior, and confidence is built that way. I think really, if you want your kids to be ready for school, let them fumble this summer. Let them fumble, with tying their shoe, and take that magic pause, because that's the best way you're going to get them ready for school.
Big thanks to Lizzie Asa for joining us. You can read her parenting insights on Substack at The Workspace for Children. And her upcoming book is called But I'm Bored. We'll link to everything in today's episode notes on our website, thenewsworthy.com. If you found this episode helpful, consider passing it on to someone else who might enjoy it as well. And join us again next week. We bring you all the day's news in about 10 minutes each weekday with our signature fast, fair, fun style. We'll be back on Monday with the latest news to know. Until then, have a great rest of your weekend and summer.